Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am so excited to have Isabelle Fortin as my guest, and let me talk to you about what Elizabeth has done. So Elizabeth Fortin's journey started in the Royal Canadian Air Force. For the next decade, she developed her communication skills and learned critical leadership skills by attending the prestigious Royal Canadian Leadership School. When Isabelle transitioned to civilian life and entered the corporate world, she soon noticed a harsh contrast to her military experience. The corporate world's every person for themselves mentality clashed with her leadership philosophy. She knew there was no way she or anyone else would ever reach their goals in this type of environment. So Isabelle decided to start her own business and create a better company culture that would put humans first. Today, she empowers human-centered leaders, tapping into the uniqueness of every single team member, because great teams are built one person at a time. At the core of her innovative approach is a revolutionary behavioral and motivation assessment tool, which helps leaders understand and adapt the communication and leadership style to bring the best out of each member. So she has 3 decades of combined military and business leadership experience, and she uses her innovative strategies to help CEOs and HR leaders improve communications, culture, retention, and profitability. So we're going to talk about 2 topics that I love to talk about, and that is leadership and team building. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Isabelle Fortin. Isabelle, so excited to get into this topic today.
Same here. Good to be here.
Excellent. So we have just 2 easy questions. The first is, tell everybody, where do you live? Where do you call home right now?
I live in the suburbs of Montreal, Canada, and I'm a French Canadian.
Yes. That's one part
Probably
of
you know
Canada I
with the
have
French
not
accent.
been yet, and I definitely have to add that to my list.
It's so close to you, but do yourself a favor and don't come here in the winter. It
I
is
know, I know.
brutal.
Yes, I know, I know. I spent time in the Toronto and Guelph area as I was
Mm.
launching the UPS store whenever I worked for UPS. And I was there all seasons.
And Toronto is warmer than where I
Yes,
live
it
because
is. It is.
it's south of us.
Mhm.
So yeah, but no, it's the winters are nothing to mess with. Yeah.
No, no. I'd love for you to share a little bit about your journey of what led you to do what you do today, going from that military background to saying, oh, okay, now we're in the corporate world. So, what were some aha moments, pivotal times that really made you say, okay, this is the direction, this is my purpose?
Oh, that was a long road for me.
Mm.
My first corporate job was as a customer service rep in a financial institution, and it was a call center. And what really surprised me is how bad every single leader of the company seemed to be. It wasn't only my department. I smoked at the time, so I would go out for smoke with colleagues and friends and whatever, and even at lunchtime at the cafeteria, and everybody's boss seemed to really be bad at it, be bad
Mhm.
leaders. And I thought, okay, so maybe it's just, this kind of environment. Maybe it's just this company, because sometimes it is, right? The
Yeah,
company
sometimes it
cultures,
is.
every company decide how to create their company culture. And then I got to my second civilian job, and it was just more of the same.
Mm.
And I was dumbfounded by that, because you would think, I thought at least, that the military is extremely command and control. So you would think that in the civilian life, it wasn't command and control. And in my experience, it was quite the opposite. Because
Mm.
although, yes, in the military it was, I don't know anymore. I've been out for 3 decades, but it was command and control. But what the military were extremely good at doing was tapping into the unique abilities of everyone. And the reason that is because the mission comes first. And it's
Mhm.
not, well, you've been here the longest, and this is what you like doing the most, so you get to do it.
Mhm.
If you've been in the military for a decade and the newbie that's, 2 months in is better at doing this job than you are, well, they get to do the job because the mission comes first.
Yeah.
So even though it is command and control, they are extremely good at tapping into the unique abilities of everybody. And the second thing that was extremely surprising to me is that where I came from, every single leader had leadership training.
Oh God.
And in the civilian, at least in my experience, and unfortunately, I have to say that it hasn't changed that much, at least not the companies that I work with. Leadership training is, uh, I don't know, it's a unicorn.
Mhm.
Except for extremely big companies like Meta and Amazon and Google and Microsoft, they give leadership training, but the mom and pop shop, they don't give leadership training. So they take the best salesmen, and since they're good at the skill of
Yeah.
selling, they make them the leader of the sales team. Well, leadership is a skill.
Mhm.
So teach it,
Yeah.
but companies don't. So when you get to a company where leadership training is lacking, and it's less than 5% of the companies that I work with, and you get a lot of pet peeves, and well, I don't want to work with her. If I had a nickel every time I heard that, holy goodness, I would never, never, never have to work again. I would, because I love my
Yeah.
job, but financially, I would never have to work again.
Yeah.
So it when you tap into what people are good at naturally, they give the best out of themselves.
Mhm.
So to go back to the original question, how did I get to where I am? Well, by working for a lot of bad bosses and eventually going, well, no, somebody's going to have to do something about this. And that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah. We have very similar backgrounds in that respect. And it's I hate that it always came down to budget decisions for
Yeah.
large companies,
Yeah.
the large companies that I worked in. Because when I started at the company I worked for, they were not public. And they were large, but they were not public. And
Mm.
so training was huge. It was a integral part. And so that for me, without a college education, that was like I sucked up every kind of training course I could take and do. And then at some point, 10 years later, only people that were in the C-suite or, upper management got some training, but it
Mm,
generally wasn't leader training. And so I found that the teams that I led then, it was really my goal is to make those people understand their purpose and how their job and what they did tied to the mission and the goal and everything, kind of what you were talking about from the
mhm.
military aspect, you know. Once you know that, once you know that you add value, then you will give 110% without me
Absolutely.
begging you.
Absolutely. And you know what, Vicky, we all, as humans living in a privileged country, because let's not pretend we're not privileged,
Hmm.
and having the ability of being ourselves, we are legally allowed to be who we are. We, every single person that I work with, employee level, leader level, they all want to contribute and they
Hmm.
all want to know how they
Yeah.
contribute. What is it that they bring to the table that nobody else does? When you
Hmm.
tap into that, yeah, you're absolutely right. They will show
Yeah.
up. They will show up every day. They will give you 110%, and they will be happier and more fulfilled and more productive in their, and therefore, how does that affect your bottom line?
Yeah. And if you allow them to be innovative and creative, I always talk about the fact that, you know, in schools, we sort of, because we tell them how to do things, when to do things, why to do things, that, and then they go into the business world and we say, okay, now go outside the box, think creatively, brainstorm, and they don't know how
Nope.
because they're so afraid that if they do it differently or wrong, they're trying to read the mind of their manager, not leader, but their
Yep.
manager to see what would he or she do and try to do that as opposed to saying, let's just try this differently. If it
Yep.
doesn't work, what can we learn from that?
Yep. Absolutely. And it's, there's still to this day, and I'm again dumbfounded by that. There is still to this day a, I'll say, bad read on what leadership is.
Yeah.
Leadership is not about getting stuff done.
Mhm.
Leadership is about taking care of people who get stuff done. And please notice that I said stuff instead of the other S word.
Mhm.
It's not, leadership is not about getting things done. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Take care of the people. They will take care of your, of whatever you need them to do. And
Yeah.
this great, there's the great quote from Richard Branson that says, I don't take care of my customers. I take care of my people, and they take care of my customers.
Yeah.
And
It's
he's
all
right.
about that leading from example too.
Yes,
I,
exactly.
you know, I, I sometimes talk about the golden rule, but I think there's the platinum rule too. But it's like, how do I want to be treated? You know, when I coach and train people, it's like, I, I, I think of myself in that position. What would I want to hear? How would I want to be told that I did something incorrectly and how can I fix that as opposed to demeaning the person or, you
Mhm.
know, making them feel less. You, I
And
wouldn't want that.
afraid.
I don't, yes, oh, the fear factor always. And it's interesting you talk about bad bosses. I had one who was a boss of mine, a manager of mine, who ended up becoming a higher level member of the company. And when I worked directly for him and he needed something from me, he knew my name. But other times, and especially after I was no longer working for him, I could walk by him, say hi, and he never responded to you because he didn't need anything from me.
Yeah.
And that's not
No,
being a having a human-centered leadership
no,
for sure.
no. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
It, it's just, it's just not caring. And I heard this story. I think it was Simon Sinek that shared this story on stage where he's going to Vegas for a conference or whatever, and he's um talking with the barista where he's going to fetch his coffee in the morning, and the barista is giving him the best service he's ever had in his life. And so he was intrigued about that. So he asked the barista, like how are you able to like love your job this much?
Yeah.
And the young gentleman, maybe late teens, early 20s, said, well, because here, he says, I have two jobs. I work here and I work at a hotel. He said, here the boss every day looks at me and says, how can I support you? What can I do for you? What do you need?
Mm.
And he says, so I show up here and I show up at 115% because I love this job.
Mm.
And he says, in my other part-time job, he says, every day I keep my head down and I make as little wave as possible, and I don't bring new ideas or innovative ideas or any anything to the table. I do my job and it's a duck and cover because I'm there only for the paycheck, because the boss is, well, do this and do that, and how and why'd you do this, and how come this isn't done yet? Well, which of these two jobs is he more productive in?
Yeah. Right.
But people are still, yeah.
Mm.
But and you know what, Vicky? I don't even blame bosses. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because command and control is easier on the boss.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I said, even in this remote world, it's a lot more work to be a
Yes,
great leader with people
yes,
that are not right there in front of you, that you could casually pass them in the cafeteria or at the water cooler or whatever you want to call it, the
yep,
copy machine. Now you have to make an intentional effort to find out about your people, to see how
yep,
you can support them. And that's what makes the great bosses.
yes, absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
how important is adaptability and empathy in
Oh,
this
it's everything.
process? Yeah.
It's everything. It's everything. And you can't, if you only have one of the two, you have only half the recipe. So your cake
Yeah.
is not going to rise. It's everything. It's not about you. It's about you serving them as a leader. So if you can't be an empath, if you can't feel what you're feeling, and if you can't find the balance between being understanding and actually being productive, because there is a balance. And of course, sometimes it is about getting stuff done, right? I
Yeah.
mean, if it comes to a point where, I mean, you're so empathic that one of the employee doesn't perform and it has an effect on every other employee, then
Yeah.
you're not giving all of your team members the same treatment, right? So it is
Mm.
a balance, it is a juggling act. But if you only have empathy and you're not adaptable, and if you're only adaptable and you do it without empathy, you only have half the recipe.
Yeah. Very
Yeah, and
true.
you truly, truly need both. Because the way
Yeah.
that you talk with one person isn't the way that you talk to the other person. And you and I were
Exactly.
talking before we started recording this podcast about being a great presenter and being a great public speaker. Well, when you're talking to 2,000 people at the same time, you need to keep in mind that some people are visual, so they will look at you. And if you put something on the
Mm.
screen behind you, they're not looking at you no more. And some people are just listening. I'm that way. You can show me nothing at all. If there are subtitles on my TV, I won't read them. It's all through my ears. And some
Yeah.
people need to feel. And when you're dealing with a team, you need to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
So some people, they need you to walk in their office and say as fewer words as possible, get straight to the point, and they don't care that you ask them how their weekend was because they don't care. It's not
Mhm.
important for them. But there are other people where, and I'm that way. If you walk in my office and you don't look at me in the eyes, ask me how I am. You don't need to bring me anything, or you don't need to sit
Yeah.
down and spend half an hour, but care about the human that I am first and then get down to business.
Yeah.
Well, I'm being the extremely shy person that I am. I will very kindly show you the door. because that is my need. I need you to acknowledge that I'm another human being walking this planet, but some of my colleagues don't need that. So, as a
Yeah.
leader, it is your job to adapt to what my need is because you need something from me. You need me
And
to do my job.
that really goes back to what we were talking about of knowing your people. That
Yep.
takes time. It takes and sincerely getting to know them, you know. It
Yes.
is having a non-work kind of function. It was not just so we could have some fun times. It really was a lot of time where I could get to know my team,
Yeah.
what they were like outside of the stressful situation of the
Yep.
office, get to really
Absolutely.
know who their families are like, what their concerns were. You know, that's really the first step.
Yes, and you're right to say that it is more complicated now than it has ever has been before,
Yeah.
because you don't get to see them at the cafeteria and you don't get to
Hmm.
see what's in their lunch because you can tell a lot from about people on how they eat. Do
Hmm.
they all eat their all eat their vegetables and then eat the meat, and then because that's gonna tell you that they need to do things one thing at the time.
Yeah.
Or do they just put everything on one scoop and just shove it down? Like it, the way we eat, the way we drink, the way we dress, it says a lot about who we are. And
Yeah.
now in this virtual um, time, which is has its assets. Of course it does. If it wasn't for virtual abilities like the
Goodness.
Zooms and the StreamYard and all that good stuff, I wouldn't make a living right now, right?
Yeah.
But it is more, it requires more effort. I think you said it perfectly. It does require more effort.
Yeah.
So it is the leader's job to do that. That's why they're paid the big bucks.
So in my introduction, I talked about your assessment. And
Hmm.
so share more about that assessment because you, you know, I think if you go back to just getting to know your clients, the assessments are a tool that can help you at least start that discovery.
Absolutely. And you know what, Vicky, as far as psychometric tests are concerned, there's a lot out there. Some of them are extremely good, some of them are extremely bad.
Mm.
Um, I've had a few. I've filled out a few as a quote unquote volunteer. I tested a few of them as a professional. I landed on this test that's called a NOVA assessment. It's from Switzerland. It is science-based. And it truly is, it's not a personality test. If whenever people refer to my assessment as a personality test, the hair on the back of my neck just rises. It truly is a cognitive behavioral
Mm.
motivation assessment. So it's a test online. It's a questionnaire that lasts between 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how um I want to say the word anal you are, you know, like how detailed oriented. I'll change the
There
word.
you good.
How
Okay.
detailed you are. And comes out between 25 to 40 pages report
Whoa.
on how how do you prefer to be spoken to? What are the things that we should absolutely avoid? Are you task oriented or relationship oriented? What are your true core deep motivation? How do you learn? How important is learning for you?
Mm.
How much recognition do you need? And you know, when we talk about recognition, it's not vain, it's not vanity. Some people need to feel that they are
Yeah.
different, and some people couldn't care less.
Mhm.
Um, so it's truly about how is your brain wired?
Yeah.
Because we all, if you look at Maslow's pyramid, of course, we all have the same basic needs. We, you know, need to eat, we need to drink, we need shelter, we need to sleep. past that, we need to be loved, of course.
Yeah.
So we all share that. But past that, how you, how I can best communicate with you is different than your daughter.
Yeah.
And it's different from your partner. And it's different from, and that's a great thing. So it truly is a huge time saver. When a leader can read the report, and of course when I work with a team, I don't have the leaders, if they have 15 people on their team, I don't have the leaders read 15 reports of 40 pages. That's why they hire me, so I can say, okay, here's the cheat sheet for this person.
Yeah.
This is what you do, this is what you avoid, this is what you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely do not do ever in their presence. This is how you communicate efficiently with them. And this is what their natural motivations are.
Mm.
So when you know what their deep motivations are, you can tap into that.
Yeah,
Because
for
it
sure.
always makes me laugh when people say, oh, I need to motivate my people. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You truly can't. What you need to do is find their motivation and tap into those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that goes back to what we said. You have to take time to get to know
Exactly.
your people.
So I just recently worked with a team. There were six, very, very small team, six, including the leader.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking all post PhDs, all of them. It's a research center close to where I live, and they are extremely smart cookies. And Vicky, I'm telling you, you wouldn't have guessed that by walking in. They are fighting over staplers and they are fighting over a parking spot. And I mean, it's the pettiness was worse than in middle school. And
Wow.
I walking in there and I'm thinking, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah.
Six people, adults in their 50s, for crying out loud. Like, why are they fighting? So I do the assessment. I looked at everybody's assessment and I do the debriefing because that's one of the things that I want to say is whenever I work with a team, everybody, and it starts with the leader. If the leader is not willing to do the assessment, I don't work with the team. It starts with you.
Yeah.
So I do the assessment and I do the debriefing for the six people. And I go, this is why they're
Mm.
fighting. Because one of them needs a lot of recognition and he's not getting it. And one of them, she a woman she's extremely people oriented, but she works with five other people
Better
that are
not.
only task oriented, and she feels like she's being demanding and they feel like she's being demanding. And when we came together and they understood, and then it took 10 seconds, they understood she's not demanding, she has a need. It's not a pet peeve, it's a need. She
Mm.
needs you to ask her how her weekend went
Yeah.
on Monday morning. Well, you know what? The pettiness and the infighting and the all of that crap stopped immediately because they finally saw the humanity in one another.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's all it's about. We
Mm-hmm.
don't need to have the same hobbies to get along.
Yeah. That's true.
If you like line dancing and I like pickleball, you and I can both get along. We just need to recognize that you're a human being walking this earth doing your damn best.
Mm.
And sometimes you're going through some stuff and you're going to need a little bit more empathy. And if you're able to voice that,
Yeah.
then the fighting stops.
Yeah. Such good advice.
Thank you.
So, when we talk about teams, talk to me about the role of accountability in building a strong team.
Oh, well, that's a doozy.
Yeah.
Um, You can't change anything you don't acknowledge, and that's it. So I always say to every time I do a workshop with a team, I always say on a great team, you can do three things. You can admit you were wrong,
Yeah.
you can ask questions, and you can share ideas. But the kicker is you need to be able to do these three things without being shamed,
Mm.
without being bullied, and without being judged. And as a leader,
Mm.
the worst thing that you want to do is have your team members leave their greatest ideas in the car in the parking lot. So they need to be able to come and say, I thought about this. Should
Mhm.
we try? Right? And
Yeah.
it's the same thing about mistake. If you're in a position where you made mistake and you don't feel that it's a safe place for you to admit that you were wrong, you will never be
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah.
So accountability comes with safety. And
So
that's
true.
usually where teams go wrong or leaders go wrong. Is they want their teams to own up to their mistake, but whenever they do a mistake, well, they shame them for it.
Yeah.
So it's a tango. You can't dance the tango by yourself. You need somebody else. So it has to be a team thing. It has to be the leader has to set the tone where if you made a mistake, you walk in my office and you go, Isabelle, I effed up. And I can say,
Mm.
okay, what you gonna do about it now?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's all it's about. Making a mistake is human.
Yeah.
There's there's a quote in French. I don't know if it exists in English, but the cemeteries are full of people who never made mistakes,
Yeah. Very
right?
true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah, I always tell people, stop trying to be perfect. Perfect is boring. And I learned far more from the mistakes I made in life than I had, somebody give me this recipe to how to be perfect because, that's just not me.
Yeah, and you learn nothing from success.
Yeah. Yeah.
You learn nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, jump and
That's
say,
exactly
well, I
right.
effed up.
That's right. I always say if it's not gonna, get me fired or put me in jail or kill me, I'm gonna give it a go. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I started my first company and I had employees. When I started hiring people, I would tell my employees, I don't pay you enough to take what's the word I could use here, to take bad behavior from our customers.
Yeah.
That's not your job. But that's a leader protecting
Mm-hmm.
her employee.
Yeah.
It was my it was my job to take the bad stuff. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
theirs. And it wasn't because I wasn't paying them enough. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
an
absolutely.
expression as, you're not here for the bad stuff. That's my job.
That's
That's
right.
why when I sell the company, I'm going to take all of the benefits. And thank God there are some entrepreneurs out there because if there wasn't, well, nobody would have a job.
That's right. It's been so enjoyable chatting with you today
Right?
about leadership and team building. And, we could talk on and on and on about this, but I'm sure there's people out there that really want to connect with you. So, as always, I do have a slide that has all of Isabelle's contact information. If you're just listening, you can get this information on my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please do subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com. So the website is againsttheordinary.org. Again,
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is againsttheordinary.org. And on LinkedIn, you can find her just by searching her name, Isabelle Fortin and a bunch of numbers. So just search Isabelle, Isabelle, and last name is Fortin.
If you
I'm
see
going to,
somebody with purple hair, that's me.
that's her. That's right. So if you're not watching, she has purple hair and it's awesome.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to turn it over to Isabelle. She's going to talk about her call to action today, explain things that you can find when you go to that website. Again, the assessment, how to connect with her, have a contact session with her, and as well as what she puts out there on LinkedIn that might help you and how often she puts information out there. So Isabelle, just go ahead and take it.
Well, on my website, there's a little bit of a technical issue right now. The book now button doesn't seem to work. However, if you scroll down completely to the bottom, the website is only a few pages. If you scroll down and you write in the contact me, I get these emails. So if you only want a personal and professional assessment, a NOVA behavioral cognitive motivation assessment, I don't have to work with your entire team. If you want to find out what kind of leader you are, or just what kind of person, how is your brain
Mm.
wired, and what is your particular need, you can contact me that way. And on LinkedIn, I took a little bit of a break in December just because I needed a break from content creation. But usually I'm on LinkedIn every single day. You can connect with me, you can follow me, and you can DM me on LinkedIn as well. Again, Isabelle Fortin. And when you get to see the pictures, choose the one with the purple hair, and that's me.
Oz. Isabelle, such a wonderful conversation we had today. I enjoyed it so much.
Same here. Thank you for having me. It was lovely. It didn't feel like 40 minutes. It felt like
I
15.
I know. It
That's a
just
good
flew
sign.
by. It flew by. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.